took a lot of inspiration from Alamo Drafthouse because they had done a trivia game several years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, up at their village location. And it was a thing where they had actually installed buttons in the seats. There's a local company that did this. And they had, pre-show, they had a game where you would answer trivia, and it was an animated thing. Some guys from Human Code I'd worked with who did this. It was well done, well presentation, but 2 problems they had that the Alamo told us about was, people really liked it. That's not the problem. The problem is that they came back, like Alamo has, as you know probably, and some of you might be these people, very ardent fans who are sometimes coming there 2, 3, 4 nights a week. And so people would come, and they play it on Tuesday, and they come back on Thursday, and it's the same game. And they go, hey, that was fun Tuesday, but this is old. We know the answers. Let's get new stuff. So apparently the Alamo called up these developers who had made this and said, hey, people really like it. Let's get a new one going. And they said, oh, great. Yeah, well, 30 days we'll have a new one for you. And they went, no, 30 days? No. Because what they had to do is they had to actually go write the questions, animate. They had a little animated host who would speak to you on the screen. And it was making like a little TV show each time. So they couldn't do that. They needed something instantly. The other problem they had was that they had actually, a guy had come and installed buttons in all the seats. And it took him, and he'd come in the mornings and work on this for several days. So just to wire one theater took days and days of work to wire up this hardware system. This is pre-smartphone. So the 2 big things that they had problems with were they couldn't have fresh content when they wanted it, and they had a high cost of installation. So they ended up just killing it after the prototype phase. So Michael and I took a lot of inspiration from that. It's like, well, with smartphones we can do dynamic data. So that one of our big tenets with developing QRANK was that we wanted every time you fire it up that you get something fresh. So that it makes it, feels like I'm just-in-time information. And we wanted, for particularly pubs and restaurants, movie theaters, to have no hardware installation, which the GPS capabilities in the phone enable. And Michael can speak to that a little more. But we can pinpoint down to this office, if we like, and say activate a 50-meter radius around this room, so that people in this room could get an experience that no one else outside this radius could get. And that's really scalable. So we could say people in Austin get this information, people in Texas, people in the U.S. or internationally. Which is still, at the time when we launched was unique, and it's still fairly unique. There's not a ton of stuff like that stuff going on. So we launched South by Southwest 2010, and we sourced all the content initially. So I was the writer, and what we did is if you played our game, it's a social quiz game. It's a trivia game essentially. And so each day we distribute 1 fresh game. And that's the other kind of interesting tenet of the game, or interesting principle, was rather than a traditional game where it comes with a bunch of content packaged up from day 1. And if you like it, a lot of games like this, you like the game and you keep playing it. You might play it for hours or days, but eventually you exhaust that content, or you get exhausted, you get burned out on it, one way or the other. So you tire of that stuff and you put it away. So to ensure that we always had fresh content, and also to make it kind of a scarce quantity, one of our ideas was to each day we just release 1 game that's 20 fresh questions. It takes maybe 3 to 8 minutes or so to play, but once you're done with the day, you're done. It cuts you off. Is that right? Thanks a lot. Come back tomorrow. And we found a lot of people really like that. One, because it's like this little thing that becomes a ritual that they do over coffee or breakfast or while waiting for the bus or on lunch break. And it becomes like a little daily addiction kind of thing, like a crossword puzzle.